Hello, this is Ted Schwartz with the LMW Communications. We're going to use this case study to describe a lot of basic networking technologies. The first one will be the Open Systems Interconnect model. First of all, we just want to describe the case study and how it looks and how it's all tied together. It's basically 4 slides in this section that will describe the case study. So here you have 2 buildings. One building is in Hartford, Connecticut. The other is in Portland, Maine. Notice that on the 3rd floor of the left building is a client. On the 3rd floor of the right building is a server. And we're going to talk about this network in all of the explanations that we give. And you'll notice that that client on the left-hand side building can communicate with the client on the right-hand side building. The other things to get out of this slide is the fact that there is structured cabling, the vertical distribution frame, horizontal distribution frame. Horizontal means the cabling going across each floor. Vertical means the cabling going up and down, probably an elevator shaft. And you'll notice that the routers are in the basement of both buildings. A, B, and F on the left, C, E, D on the right. You'll also know that later on you'll see a slide where D is extended out into a firewall architecture. So the other things to realize are that there's a wide area network connection, those clouds at the bottom. B is connected to C with a frame relay connection. F is connected to E with an HDLC over T1 connection. The frame relay is over a T1 also. But in the next slide you'll see the contents of those 2 clouds down at the bottom. Now remember the physical structure. This is the actual layout of the cabling, including all the hubs. Here is the contents of those clouds on the previous slide. Notice the 2 buildings again. Notice, if you look really good, the routers are in the basement of the buildings. So the routers connect the buildings on a wide area network. You'll notice that on the upper area, the HDLC over T1, you have the left building connected to the right building with 2 central offices in between. Notice that from the central office to the building, that is called the local loop. From central office to central office is known as a carrier backbone. In this case, it's a T1 over SONET backbone. And then you'll notice that frame relay is the center lower connection. It goes, the local loop again goes from the building to central office P2, and then it's connected to central office H2 by an ATM over SONET. Most people don't realize that frame relay is carried over ATM and SONET. And then you'll notice again that their routers are connected, and this is a WAN connection normally controlled by a wide area networking vendor like AT&T, Sprint, or Verizon. This slide is the logical architecture of the case study. That client was on the 3rd floor of the left-hand building. That server was on the right-hand floor of the building. The 7 layers is called a layered architecture. The actual routers in that green topology down below is called a topological architecture or a topology architecture. You will notice that when we teach you the OSI model, that the layer 7 at the OSI model in the client communicates with layer 7 in the OSI model of the server. Layer 6 in the OSI model communicates with layer 6 in the server. The only major difference is layers 3 through 7 communicate directly from the client to the server, where the data link and physical layer only communicate between the client or router A, or between router A and router B. They are node-to-node layers. Now remember, this is the logical architecture, and later on we'll explain how data gets from the client to the server. Now notice on the left hand side is the email server. Remember that was on the right hand side of the previous slide. There's routers C, D, and E, and the extension of this case study is known as a firewall architecture, which is the subnets between the internal router D and the external router G that connects to the internet. Notice there's also a firewall in between, and the web server sits on the DMZ zone between the firewall and external router. Alright, now remember, this is a case study, and we're going to explain most everything related to this case study. So start building this in your mind, and we'll cover the OSI model first with this case study.